Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. My husband and I have been married for 3 years now. It's true that after marriage, your relationship changes and the spark dulls a little. We were going through something similar. Well, to be precise, I was the one making efforts to keep the spark going, while my husband didn't show any effort. I honestly couldn't blame it as it was partially my fault. So, my sister doesn't have her own place. She's in between jobs, and as I'm the only family member that she has, I told her to live with me until she finds something stable. Her being in the house has definitely had some effect on my marriage, but you don't abandon family. Well, that's what I thought until my third wedding anniversary. Before our anniversary, my husband promised me that this year I'm going to love the gift he's planning to give me. I was so looking forward to it. I remember whenever I found myself alone with my sister, I'd ask her to guess what the gift could be. Initially, she'd play along with me, but soon her behavior changed. I didn't pay much attention to it, thinking it's my anniversary, why would she care? So the day came and we went out for dinner. We had a fun date night, and I was planning to turn it into a really good time with him, even when we went back home. I was determined to make my husband remember the fun days of our relationship. When he returned home, he told me to wait for a bit while he brought out the gift. As he went upstairs, my sister came out and asked how it was. She was looking a little sour, and when I tried asking her what was wrong, she brushed it aside. My husband came down at that point and handed the big box wrapped with red foil paper. I thanked him for it. I carefully unwrapped the packaging and opened the box. It contained two separate, smaller packages inside that looked like they belonged to a small business run by a single person from home. When I said that out loud, my husband confirmed it. He said he was looking online for what he could possibly give me when he came across this Instagram ad that customized gift sets according to the things that you want. All you had to do was tell them what exact things you want to be added together as a whole set piece. Mine contained a dress along with matching accessories. There was also a small note along with it. I opened the accessories first and loved them. They looked familiar to me, so I thought I must have seen them online. Next, I saw the dress and realized why this whole thing looked familiar. I read the note last, and what I saw written on it froze me. I couldn't comprehend the meaning of it. Is that some kind of mistake? But that's not possible. Then I remembered fleeting moments from the past that I let go of at that time, thinking it was nothing. I was shaken to my core with what I was realizing shock mixed with anger, and most importantly, pain of being hurt. I took the whole gift and threw it in the trash. As soon as I threw it, my husband asked me what's wrong. He looked hurt. That felt good. He deserves more than just his gift being thrown into the trash. Then my sister asked me if I had lost my mind. I just stared at her. She asked me why I was being rude. My husband picked the gift with care, and I just chucked it away. I didn't even realize at that moment what I was doing. I slapped my sister and asked her to leave my house. I told her to cut all ties with my husband and never show her face around me or my family. First, she looked confused, and then she realized that I know. My husband asked me, "What's happening? What is going on?" I just said that his anniversary surprise really was shocking after all. I mean, who would have guessed I'd find out on my anniversary that my husband was sleeping with my sister? That's one way to shock someone on an anniversary. I started shouting. I screamed at him profanities. That a-hole was sleeping with my own sister under the same roof as me. This was beyond crazy. He fell silent instantly and just let me throw things around. My sister asked me how I realized it. I showed her the card that was addressed to her. The card that I just unpacked with the dress and accessories that she showed me a while back. I remember her showing me a dress and accessories over breakfast, telling me that that's something which can get a man begging for you. I briefly took a look as I was leaving for work. My sister told me that she's thinking of ordering and she might just know when to wear it. I was puzzled because, as far as I knew, my sister was single and not dating anyone. I told her if she wants to use that thing, she'll first need to find a man. She just smiled and said there is someone who'd be very interested in it. I was getting late, so I didn't pursue that conversation much, but seeing the same dress and the card being addressed to her in my anniversary gift, I realized what that meant. I also connected a few dots here and there. Her being upset for the last few days as my anniversary arrived. The few times I'd walk into a room and feel an awkward silence. My husband comes home from work earlier than usual and leaves only after I've left. Everything clicked at that time. Next day, my sister packed her stuff and left the house. I didn't even care to ask where she'll crash at. I stopped talking to my husband and am still processing everything that happened. My husband keeps apologizing and telling me it didn't mean anything, it was just lust. But how am I supposed to believe anything he says now? I don't know whether I'll separate from him or not. I'm still hurting from the fact that he'd cheat on me. I'm living in a constant state of pain and anger. There's nothing else that goes on in my life, and work is the only relief I get where I am focused, that I don't have time to think about either of them. I've decided to not give up on my marriage. In the last 2 months, I constantly thought about what happened and finally considered going ahead with couples therapy. I'm still pissed at my husband and it's hard to have simple conversations with him, but I'm also glad that he's showing remorse for what he did and is giving me all the time I need to heal and start working on our relationship. I honestly thought about leaving him, but I didn't want to give up on us so easily. I can't change the past, and trust is something that he'll have to work on building between us again, but I hope we can work through this. Everybody makes mistakes. I know because I've made quite a lot in my life. But he's the only family besides my sister that I have, and if I give that up, what will I be left with? I really hope that this will work out. As for my sister, I haven't talked to her. She keeps calling me frequently, but I can't bring myself to sort my relationship with her right now. I only have enough patience and energy to work through one of them at the moment. If I move too fast, I'm scared I'll end up hating them both to the point of no return. So for now, I'll see how things go with my husband in therapy. We're struggling a lot lately. We get into fights and constantly bicker about the smallest things. Just yesterday, we ended up having a row in the morning because my husband forgot to stock the fridge, and my patience level is so thin lately that even trivial things can get me on edge. I don't know if therapy is helping or harming us more. We are releasing ugly truths about each other. Our therapist told us to sit with each other in complete silence for an hour without doing any activity. He also suggested that every time we feel like our control is slipping and we're going to snap, we should move out of the room. He told us to call a safe word every time we need a break from each other in order to let another person know we're moving out without explaining the whole reason. Even though we're trying, it seems like there is very little progress. I can't seem to bring myself to trust him at all. Even his breathing gets on my nerves. And it seems like he's at the end of his rope with me. He's given me enough time to come to terms with our situation and has apologized and made amends. I've seen him make more effort towards me in the last few months than I saw in our entire relationship before and after marriage. Nothing seems to be working, and we've both decided to take some space from each other. I'm going on vacation with a few more work friends for a week. After that, I plan to spend a few weeks alone at our farmhouse. This time away might prove to be more beneficial than any therapy we tried while living together. I finally talked to my sister. I called her a few days before leaving to go back to live with my husband. There was a lot of apologizing from her side and a lot of questions from mine. All I wanted to know was why she would do this to her own sister. We've been the only family we had since she was way young. Then, why was it that she'd hurt me like this? Did she not think at all about what her actions mean? Or was she blissfully ignoring all the consequences of her actions? She said she couldn't help it. It happened so suddenly she didn't even realize what they were doing. She told me the first time it happened they were both so full of regret that they stopped it right there. But then my marriage started falling apart, and because I was so busy all the time with work that eventually she and my husband started spending time together a lot more, and it sort of became a pattern. I thought I could handle hearing the things she'd tell me, but it was very painful. I wasn't angry anymore. It only hurts. I changed the topic and asked her how things are with her and where she's living. After an awkward silence occurred between us, I told her I need more time and I'll reach out to her once I'm ready. For now, maybe there's a hint that I can manage to get my sister back, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. It's been 2 years since I've last updated. Things didn't work out with my husband after all. The wounds were too big to heal, and we're both divorced now. I bought my own place where I live alone now. I finally managed to forgive my sister for what happened. She has also built herself a good life to afford a rental place in LA, and we try to meet every other month. We're still very close and talk frequently, but we also know that things can't be exactly like they used to be. I've moved on, and I'm currently happy with my life. I got myself a husky who keeps me company. I'm also thinking about starting to date other people and go out again to have fun. NTA, I don't know why people cheat, especially with other members of the family. Your husband is such a douche for cheating on you just because you got busy and your marriage wasn't fun anymore. NTA, how can your sister do that to you? I'm glad that you guys are able to still have a bond, but if it was me, I don't think I'd be able to even see her face without calling her a few choice words. NTA, good riddance to the husband of yours. He deserved to be left alone after the stunt he pulled. Cheating, and that too with his sister-in-law. What a shitty a-hole he is. I'm a 34-year-old female. My little sister, 28, is about to give birth to her first child in the next couple of months, and we're all ecstatic. My sister has a baby shower coming up at the end of this month. She has several things already, but is lacking major things like a crib, stroller, diaper, bin, etc. I would consider her the GC. She's never worked a day in her life. From her car to her expenses to her wedding to the home she resides in, it was all paid for by my parents. Yes, she is spoiled, can be a very big brat at times, but I love her. While it has caused some tension among our siblings because we didn't receive the same treatment, I honestly appreciate being independent, so there's no jealousy on this side. Parents are now retired though, so they're living on a budget. My sister is having a girl, and I knew she mentioned wanting to have a pink crib. I had my last 7 years ago and had a practically brand new crib in storage that could have been painted pink. Only she didn't want a used crib. Fair. My parents proposed us, me and them, to get her a crib since my siblings were going to get her something else she needed. I'm in the medical field, so my shifts are all over the place. My mother states they'd found the perfect crib and that all they needed was me to send my half. I'm thinking maybe a couple $100. Nope. My half was supposed to be a little over $4,500. I immediately tell her that I would not be providing such a substantial amount of money for a crib. For that price, it better come with a nanny. She goes on to state that this is what my sister wants, and she deserves it. I asked, would she be sleeping in this crib? This is a crib for her baby. It's a Lydian crib, walnut, with 24-karat gold. With tax, it's a little over $7,000. With the custom pink paint job, that's another $1,000. I've never heard of such. Am I out of touch? Is this how much cribs are now going for? The crib is nothing spectacular. It looks regular with square-shaped gold emblem on the front of it. WTF? Once I tell her that I'm not giving that kind of money, she calls me selfish. Asks me what's so hard about me doing this for my sister since I make a nice salary and can afford it. I told her any person with common sense would not spend that kind of money. Then again, she's always lacked common sense when it came to my sister. Sister found out, and now I've been disinvited to the shower, which is okay with me. My siblings are standing with me and not going either, and they refuse to buy some ridiculous stroller that's over $2,000. Now, my mother and sister are blaming me for ruining her shower. Who the heck needs a $9,000 crib for their child? NTA, that's completely insane. My siblings' crib was $20 from a charity shop, 1990, and they slept just fine in it. FFS, it'll be used for 3 years max. NTA, this is a wake-up call for your parents and sister. If she really wants a crib, she can take your old one or have her baby daddy, assuming he is in the picture you didn't state, and his family pitch in. I'm a 21-year-old male, and my parents weren't ready for kids when they had me. My uncle and aunt, my uncle is my grandma's youngest brother on my dad's side, wanted kids, so me coming along was pretty much perfect for them. My uncle and aunt are farmers, and I live and work on the farm with them and my girlfriend. My mom and dad used to visit but stopped when I was around 8 because my dad met his now wife, and my mom started dating her boyfriend, and I haven't seen them since until 21st birthday. And that was the last time I saw my dad until today. I don't actually call my dad dad. I call my uncle dad or pop, and my aunt mom. I just wrote it the way I did so it wouldn't get confusing and so I could stay under the character limit. My dad, stepmom, and stepsister, 13 female, came over today. I was in the stable with my horse. I was brushing her and talking to her. My stepmom brought my stepsister to the stable and pet some of the other horses. After a bit, my stepmom pulled me aside and asked me to stop talking to my horse because she thought only freaks talk to animals, and she didn't want my stepsister to take after me. I laughed in her face at that and then realized she was serious. I told her I wasn't going to stop talking to my horse. After my girlfriend, that horse is my best friend, and I like to talk to her. She got mad and grabbed my stepsister and stormed away. A little bit later, I was telling my girlfriend about what my stepmom said when my dad walked over. He started to scold me for disrespecting his wife. I said, I only said I wouldn't stop talking to my horse. What's the big deal? And he said, you laughed in her face. I knew my aunt and uncle didn't raise you properly. That pissed me off. And my girlfriend could see it on my face. She tried to de-escalate, but my dad kept talking over her. That's when I snapped. I said, you weren't there for 13 years. You were barely around to begin with. You know nothing about my lifestyle and what me being raised properly looks like. At this point, my aunt, uncle, stepmom, and stepsister heard the commotion and came out. My dad said, well, you still disrespected my wife. And I said, she called me a freak, and I'm the one being disrespectful? He said, almost yelling, you have to respect your elders. At this point, I was done arguing, so I told him to leave. He tried to argue that, but all he got out was, before I cut him off and said, leaving. He was getting really mad, but my uncle came to my defense, and they eventually left, but my stepmom screamed that I was an a-hole before they left. AITA for laughing in my stepmom's face, then kicking my dad out. NTA, your stepmother sounds like an absolutely ridiculous human. It's disappointing that your father defended her. Good for you standing up for yourself.